Do you find yourself struggling to invest in yourself, to take initiative towards your dreams and desires because you feel like, what's the point? This video is for you. All right, so this is a part of my series that I'm doing. It is a 6-part series on educating everyone about what is called the witch's wound. So when you hear this term, please don't go ahead and just click away. It has nothing to do with being a witch. Maybe you're all about that. Great. If you're not, though, give me a chance here, because the witch's wound has nothing to do with like witchcraft or being a witch. It has to do with the persecution that happened over that 300-year period of time, where over 3 million women were brutally murdered, killed, maimed, tortured for being accused of witchcraft or being witches. So this is a very, very deep inherited wound that we have collectively in the feminine. And this wound impacts us on a severe level. It can be very, very debilitating for a lot of people. This is something that we either inherited from an ancestor, from generational trauma that got passed down, or we could even have a past life memory that's within us, a soul memory that activates this fear. That's actually where my book series, if you see behind me on that bookshelf, Witch's Wound, which is the first book in that series, that book was inspired by my own past life memories of being persecuted for being a witch. So it can be there, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it came from the ancestors or if it came from our own past life experiences. What matters is that it's there and how impactful it is to us as we're trying to go through our life. So for those that are learning this, I created the Witch's Wound Archetypes, right? So this is something I created and developed. Over the last 4 years, I have been honing these in, perfecting them, educating myself on it, researching it with my clients, diving in, and I would at this point coin myself as a Witch's Wound expert. This is why I created those 6 archetypes. We have the 3 that are overactive archetypes, and then we have their counterparts that are the 3 underactive. So 6 total, but we kind of have 3 categories. Today for this video, I want to talk about one of our underactive archetypes, referred to as the Vulture archetype. Okay, so if we think about a vulture, vultures can be these very beautiful, majestic creatures. I mean, I see them a lot. I live kind of in a rural area, so you know, things need to be cleaned up. and the vultures are there for that, but we're not talking about it in that sense when it comes to the vulture. But we'll see that the vulture is kind of the one that, like, it doesn't go hunt, it waits, right? It's waiting until the opportunity presents itself, kind of thing. It stands in the foreground, kind of hovers around, waiting for that, kind of waiting for scraps. When we think of a vulture, even with its posture, it's kind of more like subdued, down, crouched, okay? Not like our peacocks. Don't worry, that's one of our archetypes, and we'll do a video on that. That's the opposite. That's the overactive version of the vulture. We'll have the vultures who are kind of like, I'm going to just kind of accept what I get. I'll be like, whatever I can get, that's what I'm going to get. So we find ourselves not being very ambitious. We find ourselves typically feeling lonely, used. Even if we're in this archetype group, it's very difficult for us to go after anything that we want because we feel like, what's the point? What's the point? I'm not gonna be successful with it. It won't work out for me. So I should just, accept what it is that I get, and I'll kind of settle for that. So if we're someone who has the vulture archetype, we're probably going to lack motivation. We're going to struggle with some feelings of unworthiness. We will most often kind of put our needs aside for other people's in an effort to be accepted or feel loved by those people. So we don't really set our like good boundaries. We don't really say, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm worthy of. And take the initiative to create it. It's kind of the opposite, where it's like, I'm just not really good enough and I don't see the point in trying. That's kind of the overall vibe of the vultures. So this makes it very difficult in the like coaching space, the online business space, the entrepreneurship, even in our careers, for those that aren't in that realm, to really go after what it is that we want, because there's this deep part of us that just thinks like there's just no point. There's just no point. It is not for me. It is for everyone else, and it is not for me. So if you're someone who's like, yeah, I kind of feel that, we might even find that our personal lives, we tend to attract partners that maybe exhibit some, I don't like putting actual labels, but we'll say like narcissistic behaviors. People that manipulate us, people that want to use us, things like that. People are not faithful to us, or maybe we feel the need to kind of self-sabotage a good relationship by being unfaithful and kind of taking what we can get because it boosts our ego, makes us feel wanted or desired. And so we mess up a healthy relationship because we're like, well, it made me feel like I was wanted. And things like that we're going to see in this vulture archetype. Okay. So self-esteem is usually going to be something that is a really beautiful opportunity for expansion. This is where we can expand the most when it comes to this archetype, and we can step into this space of really starting to fall in love with ourselves, giving ourselves that unconditional love that we crave to receive from others, that probably puts ourselves in situations that do not truly honor our sacredness. Okay. So where did this start? I've got my notes. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. I cannot remember all of this, everything. It's just my humanity. Forgive it. But for my vultures, if this is you, if you're like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling this, let's just have love and compassion for ourselves, because it's not your fault. It's not your fault. This is what you were programmed with from, like, you inherited this. Okay. You came in with it, and then you most likely grew up in a scenario that activated this. So just like with our genetics, lifestyle activates it. With these inherited traumas, our lifestyle activates it as well. Lifestyle, when I said it in quotes, is like our life experience. So circumstances, situations, things that we experience, those are going to also activate these wounds. And we did this intentionally because they need to be activated in order for us to heal it. If you're here watching this video right now, you are the person in your lineage who set the sole goal, like that, to heal this and to free the rest of your lineage. That's awesome, right? That's pretty cool. Okay. So if you are feeling connected to this, what most likely happened to either the past life version of you or an ancestor is that they or you tried to like make something of themselves. They might have made a really big investment into something, and then it crashed. It massively bombed. It massively failed. Okay. It did not go well. So they made this investment, or they took a risk. So we could think of something like the Great Depression time, where it's like everybody they just lost everything. We can think of even like indentured servants, where they gave up everything to try to go get a better life. And then for some that worked out, for some it absolutely did not, right? I have ancestors that were indentured servants. So it's like they tried, pull themselves up by the bootstraps and make something of themselves, and it did not work out for them for some reason or another. That everyone's situation is going to be different, but that's the general category of what happened. So there's this kind of program within us that's like, what is the point? I'll actually be worse off if I try. That's kind of, it's like, I should just be happy with what I have. And that was probably the belief during those times where things massively like just were not working out. It was like, I should have just been happy with where I was. I should have just found myself content, never even tried. That is that program. So if you're finding that within yourself and it's really blocking you from having the dream relationship that you want to experience, or starting the business, or charging what you're worth, or asking for the raise, this is where this is coming from. And this is why in this lifetime, you have this like subconscious fear that things are going to be taken away, especially if you don't deserve them. You might even find that you hold on to stuff that you don't need. Maybe you'll pack ratting a little with this fear of like, well, I might not get any better. I might not be able to get something like that again. So we find ourselves kind of collecting things and keeping them stored away in case, even though there's a part of us that kind of knows, like, I'm never going to use that. But we think, gosh, I was able to get it, so I should hold on to it because I don't know if I'll be able to get anything again. It's like this mentality. Okay. So this is why that's there. It's because of this inherited, I'm going to lose everything. Like something is going to shift and change, and it's just going to cause me to lose everything. And so if you're finding that you're in this space and you're struggling with this, what do you do, right? What do you do about this? So this is where I've been sharing. I actually developed and created a specific protocol to walk people through the process of healing this wound, so that they can come to terms with, they can learn what happened, come to terms with it, allow that past version of themselves, whether with an ancestor or a past life version, they can allow them to have peace, bring that peace to them. That's huge. That's huge. They can get that consciousness, that better understanding of why have I been showing up in this way, and figuring out like where that came from. Because when we're able to kind of pivot into a more conscious space, we're then able to step into our power instead of operating like just kind of on autopilot, right? Like the robot. Instead of operating on autopilot, we're able to start seeing it. It's like, whoa, I do that. Like, what a beautiful thing, right? Just start seeing it without any judgment. Pure observation. It's just like, oh my, I did do that. I do say that. I do act like that. I do receive in that way, right? It's just becoming aware of it. That is a huge moment of growth and power, because the more conscious we become and come out of that amygdala and into the prefrontal cortex in our brain. The amygdala is like the lizard brain. Okay. It's like survival. Just I'm an autopilot. Once we can bring that into the prefrontal cortex, into the neocortex, this is like our higher consciousness. Okay. The reasoning and more into our mammal brain. We're then able to start noticing it and making conscious changes pertaining to those behaviors, actions, thoughts. And that's where things start to change hugely. Okay, so if you want to really take a dive into healing this, the link to hop inside Sacred Feminine is what it's called. For the masculine, I did put a program together for the masculine as well. You can find that linked down there. But for the feminine, it's called Sacred Feminine. For the rest of you that are kind of like, I don't know. And I get it. Let's be real. I know for my vultures, investing in yourself is challenging. Okay. So that would actually be one of those really like cool moments to like say, okay, I am going to start shifting this consciously, and I'm going to take this plunge here because I want a better life and I want to experience more. But for those that are kind of just here where it's like, I'm very curious about this, then take the Witch's Moon Archetype quiz. That's linked as well down below. So you can learn exactly which archetype you have. You're also going to see the other videos I did in this category so that maybe you can learn a little bit about each archetype and see how they're affecting you. or if you're expressing one more than the other. I will get the question a lot about like, well, I'm feel like I relate to more than one of these. Okay, take the quiz, because the quiz, y'all, the quiz works. It has been tested for 4 years and refined. It's accurate. It is accurate. So what your result is, that is your dominant archetype. But if you find that you connect with others, it's because that's learned behavior. Because you probably have a mom that has a different archetype or a sister that has a different archetype. And so you've learned behaviors from those different ones. But whatever that quiz result is, that is your main archetype. Okay. Any questions, comment them down below, and I'll try to support you as best I can, or one of my team members will get back to you with some support. And yeah, I'm here. Let's heal this. Thank you. If you found this helpful, I'm sure a friend will. So be sure to share. And I'll see you on the next video. Namaste.